Well, hey, what's going on? Nick Kirby here with Chatterbox Reds. Before we get to today's interview, I want to send a special thanks to our friends at 1410 Wing AM. That's ESPN Radio in Dayton. Justin Kenner was so kind to partner with Chatterbox Sports for some exclusive interviews down at Redsfest that I am really excited for you all to get to see. Be sure to check out the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. That is 3 to 6 on 1410 Wing AM in Dayton. And as always, special thanks to our proud sponsor of Chatterbox Reds, DSC Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks so much to John and everyone down at DSC for partnering here with Chatterbox Reds. All right. Well, here's to today's interview.
Justin Kenner, Nick Kirby, the mic is on. You're good to go. We're good. Justin Kenner, Nick Kirby, live here at Redsfest, Duke Energy Convention Center. We are Dayton's radio home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio, and we're super excited to be here like we are each and every Saturday of Redsfest. Today, just it's a much different feel at Redsfest here this season compared to the last couple, of course, and a lot of excitement, a lot of excited Reds fans here in attendance. I mean, it's a sea of red everywhere we go, but Nick Kirby, Chatterbox Sports, partnering up with us again here this season. We're pretty excited. Nick, having fun today. That first hour flew by.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already 12:15. It really did fly by. But we are joined now by Reds General Manager Brad Meador, just promoted right at the end of September as Nick Krall got promoted to the president. What's it like since the promotion for you?
You know, I've been asked that a lot. Honestly, it's really not a whole lot different. I think like a lot of times, a lot of places, you kind of already doing a job before it actually becomes official. So last year, I was already doing a lot of the stuff that I'll be doing this year. I've been the scouting director. I'm very involved in the draft and player development. I'll continue to do that. The biggest change for me will just be more time with David and the Major League staff and the Major League team. But for the most part, business as usual.
And good for you, to take over as a GM of a team that has, well, there's not a lot of money on the books, so there's plenty of money to spend. You have quite the deep, farm system, of course, and all this youth on the roster. It's a pretty exciting time right now. I always think I'd be a great GM until fantasy baseball hits, and then I'm like, oh, man, I am absolutely, put your money where your mouth is. Whew, I am not very good at that. But, right, it's an exciting time in Reds country, obviously, and a great opportunity coming in right now and taking over this current situation. Just in your eyes, from a GM's perspective, the situation in Cincinnati is what?
Oh, it's super exciting. We feel like we're in a great spot. Last year, being able to bring a lot of the young kids here for the second half of the season, we felt like that was great. It was really exciting. It's a great foundation. It's a good start. We still have to keep going. And so this is what we've really focused on over the last 3 or 4 years, is building something that is sustainable. And Nick has talked about it a lot. And that starts with player acquisition. It starts with the international signees. It starts with the draft. It starts with the trades that we made 2 years ago and what we got back in return there. And so it's all our scouting, all our acquisitions. And then to your point, now it's a good foundation. It's a good start. How do we put the pieces around it? And for us right now, the biggest thing is putting the right kind of people that fit with this team. And if you look at the two guys that we just signed, Nick Martinez and Emilio Pagan, I think anyone would tell you they're great pitchers. They're also great people. They're good with young players. They care about Nick Martinez. He's the flexibility that he brings to be able to pitch in different situations as a starter, as a reliever. We have a lot of that on our team. We have a lot of players who really don't care. They would love to play shortstop or they'd love to play third base, but they really just want to play and win and play together. And you guys have seen that. And so it is a great time to be here. I'm really excited about what this team can do this year and beyond.
This might sound like a silly question, because it's never a bad thing to win when you're not expected to win. But when the team started winning at the level of which they were winning last year, being atop the division and really put the front office in a weird spot at the trade deadline, you headed into last season knowing the big picture plan, the developmental plan for a lot of these young guys. Well, it seemed like everyone was playing ahead of schedule. The team's winning ahead of schedule. How tough is that to stick to the plan. You don't want to veer off too far from the plan just for that hot streak that they were in at the time. How tough is that to balance that of not wanting to overreact to the current moment and sticking to the plan big picture, but also trying to balance out, hey, we have an opportunity here too. Is that tough to balance out for you and your team in the front office?
Yeah, yes and no. I think we always felt like to be the group that we had a chance to really start this window, right? And we hope that it's a long window. That's the plan. That, like we said, we sustain it. We felt like 24, we would be in that position. Matt McClain and Ellie Dela Cruz and Nick Martin, they pushed us. They were ready. We felt like they were ready, and when they got here, they did exactly what we hoped they would and thought they would. It just was half a season before. And so then, and I'm sure David probably talked to you guys about this, really it was just they were only focused on today. They had their head down, the whole group had their head down, and they were just focused on today. And I really believe that was part of the success was they weren't looking at the big picture. They weren't looking at can we make the playoffs. They were just looking at can we win today.
Yep.
The trick is how do we continue that? How do we keep them in that mindset and that grind? And I do believe that the coaching staff that we have, we talked about it on the big stages, it's really important to have a major league staff who can continue with that development process when young players get here, because as long as you're going to have young players on your roster, which we're always going to have, you have to have a staff that can continue to develop those guys once they get to the big leagues. The development can't end when they get here because they're not always completely ready. They're not going to be.
You talked a little bit about Nick Martinez, but the other pitcher that you signed, Emilio Pagan, pretty big commitment to him, $8 million. I think your highest paid reliever was less than $2 million last year. What made him the right fit for the Reds, and you kind of feel like that big commitment towards this year with the signing of him?
Yeah, a lot of it, like I talked about, was just the makeup of the person, the player. He can pitch in the back end of a game. He fits in the back part of a bullpen. Look, the way pitching is going and Major League Baseball is going, you're trying to shorten the game, right? And so no one's pitching 200-plus innings anymore. And so we're looking at, when we get to the 6th and 7th inning, how can we shorten that game? And he fits in that. He can pitch the 8th inning. He can pitch the 9th inning. He's done it. He's pitched in playoff games. That's super important for where we're going.
I remember I was looking through his numbers. He had a really great September. Didn't give up a run in the playoffs. I think like last 11. Was what he did at the end of the year really attractive to you, especially with the way that your bullpen did struggle a little bit at the end of the year, probably more fatigue, just how they really grinded through the whole year and everyone really stayed healthy all last year in the bullpen?
Yes, absolutely. The end of the year matters. The end of the year and the playoffs, being able to pitch in those environments, in those situations, that's what we need. We need guys not only to be able to do that, we need guys to show our younger kids how to do that and what it looks like and how to get to October and how to pitch in October. We have a young group. That's great. It's really fun. There's a ton of energy to that, but they haven't played playoff baseball. They haven't played into October. That's where we're trying to get to, so we need some guys to put around them that can show them the way.
Heading into this offseason, when you start prioritizing needs, it's easy just to say pitching, and you've addressed a couple pitching needs already. When you prioritize the needs and the plan for the offseason, is it pitching that's at the top of that list? Like, what from a Reds perspective, what's that number one priority of addressing this to enhance and build upon what the success was last year to make, to go a step further in 2024?
Yeah, no, that's right. We look at anything we can do to improve our team. Doesn't matter the position. If it fits for us and we think it's an improvement, we're going to go down that road. But the priority coming into the season was innings. Where can we get more innings? Where can we get length? Whether it's length, Martinez, versatility to be able to pitch out of the bullpen and give you length, or start and give you length. But we just need more innings. We need more quality innings. So whether it comes from a starter or just more relievers who can give you length, either way works. We need more quality innings.
So you got a big couple weeks here. Winter meetings start tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. We leave tomorrow. Starts tomorrow night.
All right. So I'm sure you're not going to give me all the insider secrets, but what is what are the winter meetings like for you? How many? Is there just conversations all over the place? What is that like for you as a GM?
Well, it's become so big that it's really just crazy. We had the GM meetings in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago in Scottsdale, that's a smaller group. It's easier to do work with other teams in the GM meetings because there's just not as many people there. The winter meetings has just become so big. It's in Nashville. It's at the Opryland Hotel. And so when you walk to the lobby, there's so many people just grabbing you that it's hard to grab another GM from another team or actually get any work done. And we're also at a point where so much of it is done through text messaging and phone calls now. It's not like it used to be where deals got done on cocktail napkins at the bar at 11 o'clock at night. But it's still a good time to, see other people, connect with other teams. We do some interviews for baseball operations staff. We have a couple of scout interviews going on. So it'll be busy. But you guys know there's just usually not as many deals get done. There'll be a couple of big splashes. But for the most part, it's just connecting with everyone.
It's more like groundwork.
He said there'd be some big splashes. What big splashes? The Reds big splashes?
No, I can't comment on that.
Fair enough. Back to the mature question.
So
I saw you jumping in.
Yeah. So you also have some other interesting things at the winter meetings: the Rule 5 draft, the draft lottery. What are those two things like for you?
Well, the Rule 5 draft, it's. Everyone knows what it is. I mean, you're just looking at players who have been left unprotected for other teams that you could draft in the Rule 5 draft. It's an exciting 20 minutes. It used to be the last thing of the winter meetings, so everyone would show up with their suitcases in the lobby, and they would run the draft, and everyone would roll right to grabbing taxis and Ubers. Now it's actually the day before, so it's not the last thing you do. But it is always interesting, and you just kind of cross your fingers that you don't lose anyone, and maybe you can pick up something that makes sense for you. The lottery is, it's a new thing. Last year was the first year. We didn't do well, so Joe Katuska, our scouting director, we kicked him out. He can't go back to the lottery. We're going to have Devin Mesoraco do it for us, and hopefully he has better luck, and we'll see how it turns out.
When you talk about some splashes, obviously not with but just in general, teams across baseball, how tough is it? Again, you have a plan. And you're sticking to that plan, but then, oh man, the Cardinals make a big move, or the Cubs if they get Shohei Ohtani, Jesus. But they make a big splash. And guys to stop and maybe pivot, or is it just simply about what we have to do to better our team, or is it reactionary to some big moves if other teams in the division make a splash?
Yeah, we can't react to other teams. To say we're not paying attention would not be being truthful. We're paying attention. It's impossible not to. We know what's going on around us. But we have a plan. We're focused on our plan. We believe in what we're doing. And so we will do everything we can to execute our plan and not worry about what everyone else around us is doing.
A fair expectation for the Reds in 24 is division, wild card, playoffs in general, just as we sit right now.
Yeah, we want to win the division.
Fair enough.
We want to be in the playoffs.
I like that.
Yeah.
No one's arguing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Contract extensions for young players. That's kind of an interesting topic. Last year, you guys were able to get something done with Hunter Green right before the start of the season. That's something you guys are hoping maybe you could at least get one done this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we talk about. We're open to. Each guy's different, and so we're open to that. We're constantly looking at that. Hopefully we feel really strongly about the group we have, and hopefully we can have some of them here for a long time.
So this upcoming season, we talked to David about this, but it feels like you have a more set roster. Obviously, there's going to be changes. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have other players that are still going to make their debuts next year. But it feels like you have better continuity going into next year. Do you feel like that kind of gives you at least a little bit of an advantage going into April this upcoming year, as opposed to last year where you were kind of putting a roster together for April and then putting an entire different roster together by the time June rolled around?
Oh, for sure. And we knew that was going to happen going into it. And so you're careful how you're approaching the offseason last year, because you're hoping that it's not going to be for the whole season, because you're going to need room for these kids to come up and play. Once that happened, now we're set. We have a pretty good core. We have a really good core to work around, and hopefully that does serve us well, and it is an advantage going into this year. They know what it looks like. They've done it. They know each other. They've played together. They know what the group looks like. The clubhouse is really good. And so, I think it's a huge advantage for us this year. And I don't think we'll have changes like last year. We shouldn't.
Obviously, one of the all-time Reds greats, Joey Votto. I mean, you get promoted to GM and you have to make, they throw you into the fire. You got to make this decision. How tough was that? Because that's not an easy one. The decision made on Joey Votto. Just what was that decision? How hard was that decision to make, and what went into that? Because that couldn't have been easy.
No, and honestly, it was, Nick was the one that talked to Joey. Nick has had the long relationship with Joey. I certainly know Joey. I respect Joey. We all do. We love Joey. Joey's a huge part of the Cincinnati Reds, and he always will be. He's a Hall of Fame player. We have a young team. They need at-bats. It's just where we are, and Joey knows that. Joey understands that. He couldn't have been better last year to this group of players. I mean, he went so far out of his way to help these players. He cares so much about the Reds and what's next, knowing that he won't be a part of it. The amount of love and care that he has for this city and this organization is incredible. So it's tough for all of us, but he'll always be a part of us. And, once he's done playing, I'm sure he'll be a bigger part of us again.
Feels like recently the Reds have had a much more of an emphasis on international scouting and development and acquisition of players. Talk to me a little bit about that. I know you guys opened the Dominican Summer Academy last year, and just kind of that emphasis within the organization.
It's huge. I was just down there with Jeff Grappe and Trey Hendricks, our international scouting director. Same thing. Like, we're going to build this through scouting and player development. International has to be a part of that. The draft, you can only do, no matter how well you do in the draft, you can't have enough players just from the draft. It has to come from international, has to come from amateur, and it has to come from pro trades, free agents. So the international is huge. I was just down there. I saw our young kids that are just 16 and 17 years old that we have in the academy, and I can tell you after watching them for 3 or 4 days, it's really exciting. We have a lot of really good stuff going down there. The academy is beautiful. We're putting more money into it. Bob and Phil have really committed to the money and the building and the complex down there. We're adding on to it. It's going to be a huge part of what we do.
Talked about that, but obviously the farm system, vast improvement, obviously there. I mean, it's one thing. These guys aren't coming in finished products. They're coming up because of the development and obviously the talent that's all, in the system. But to have the strong teams in place to be able to develop them and have them ready for when you do call them up. Just talk about the health of the farm system for the Reds and how key and pivotal that is in sustaining the success moving forward.
Yes, the most important thing is putting players into that system, but then also developing them, make sure that we are all aligned on how we're developing them. Sean Pender and Jeremy Farrell have done a great job leading that. I feel very strongly about what we're doing both on the pitching side and the position player side. We have players, we have really good prospects at every level. So we're really excited about it. Again, we graduated a bunch of young kids. I do think that there's a little bit of a gap at our upper level AAA this year. We still have some good players there. We have Christian Rowe. We are going to, Spires could end up there. We have Phillips. We have Reese Hines, who we just added to the roster. Jacob Pertubes, Blake Dunn, who was our Player of the Year last year. So there's a lot of exciting players in AAA, but there is a little bit of a gap. And if you look back at the 2025 round draft, because of COVID, that's where that group is, right? So we knew it was going to happen. We knew how big of a hit that was going to be to a team like us, to an organization like us, and we can see where it is. Luckily, we're in good shape at the major league level, and we have a bunch of young kids coming behind it, but you can see the effect that had on every organization, but especially one who's relying on scouting and player development as much as we are.
Well, no doubt. Well, it's an exciting time in Reds country. We beyond appreciate you taking time and hanging out with us. And is it February, March yet? Is the season here yet?
I wish. I'm ready.
My goodness. But thank you so much,
sir.
Thank
you, guys.
Appreciate
Thanks for what you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. We'll step away for a few moments. We'll close out our live special here from the Duke Energy Convention Center. Justin Kinner, Nick Kirby, Chatterbox Sports, live here at Redsfest. We'll be right back.
If you like today's video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Chatterbox Sports here on YouTube for great sports content all season long. We really appreciate your support. Also recommend hit that bell up in the top right corner. That'll turn on notifications so you're notified anytime we go live. And speaking of live, we have got plenty of shows for you here on Chatterbox Sports. Let's run through some of them for you. First off, we have Off the Bench, our flagship show that is from 10 to noon, Monday through Friday, with host Tom Brenneman and a cast of characters talking all things sports with you. We also have Chatterbox Bengals. Those guys go live after every single Bengals game with instant reaction, so be sure to check that out live after every Bengals game. We have Chatterbox Clicker with Coach Kyle Caskey, former Bengals coach. That's typically on Tuesday nights. Coach Caskey breaks down film with a show that you can't see anything anywhere else like. We have Mac and JT Wednesday nights. The guys cover all things NFL. We have our newest show, Chatterbox Bearcats. That's with host Charlie Walter. Covers all things UC sports. They go live on YouTube after every UC basketball game. And then they also have the podcast called The Chatter. Charlie Walter and Houdini talking all things sports in a fun and more comedic style way. And then, of course, we also have the show I'm a part of, Chatterbox Reds. Currently during the off season, we typically do a show about once a week. Also get some more content for you. But, of course, once the season starts, we'll have podcasts after every single spring training game up for in the morning, and then live shows on YouTube after all 162 games, and podcasts always available the next morning. And lastly, be sure to check out the Chatterbox shop. That is on chatterboxsports.com. All kinds of apparel for everyone. You won't want to miss that.